Welcome to 340 Health Assessment. You are in summer 2021. This is a fairly fast-paced class rather, and depends upon you to be sort of that engaged learner and to keep up with your readings, your chapters, and the assignments. I try to do an assignment each week, so make sure that you're checking in and make sure that you hit those small assignments, and then you'll see when we're coming up on the bigger exams. This is an asynchronous format, and so you can kind of do it at your own pace, but just make sure you get the due dates and times correct. This is a 2-unit course, and you should also be enrolled in 340L, which is a 1-unit course. Here's our required textbook, and then recommended APA. There is one submission where you do APA format. But you can use online resources that are free to kind of get that same information. Just make sure that you're aware of APA format and are able to kind of edit yourselves. That one's a group project, so it'll be good. This textbook is actually pretty stellar. You'll find it's a lot of information, but they condense it really well. They have a lot of really good, like anytime you come across a text box or kind of a chunk of information that's displayed, make sure that you're familiar with it and you understand what's in those little boxes, as well as anytime you see red on the edges, right? Because it's going to highlight pieces that are important or abnormal findings and sort of the clinical implications as you go through all your reading, because then it'll keep it more manageable. It'll make it more easy to digest and pick up the information that you need to kind of recall. You're going to need to have a computer because all of our testing is on computer. We use Proctorio to ensure integrity for the tests. There are 3 exams, and they are closed book, closed note exams. Anytime there's any suspicion of academic integrity, we refer it on to our academic integrity office, and they follow up. So just make sure you have integrity. The Proctorio interface itself records and watches IP traffic as well as keystrokes and those things. So just be aware that we have a little proctoring program in place so that you have the ability to take your tests at home instead of having to come on campus. The main assignments are the tickets to class. There's 4 of them. They're worth 2 points each. This is basically to kind of keep you updated on your reading. And so if you're reading through the chapters, you should be able to answer the questions very easily. Some of them are literally word for word from the book. So it's basically to keep you in line with your assigned reading. There's also 2 discussion forums where it's 2 online discussions. You'll post your initial one, and there's prompts online. And then you're going to respond to one of your classmates and make sure that you have a scholarly source less than 5 years old, and that you use your APA format, and that you're also always polite and professional when you're engaging with each other. The case study paper is that final paper where you're going to do a really small little like walkthrough of someone who presents with particular symptoms. Make sure with this that you avoid diagnosing. This is not a class about diagnostics, but rather about looking at all of those little bits of data, right? Your health assessment itself, and then what do you expect to find and what do you expect to do to help that patient. This is a group project, and it's only 3 pages, so it's really small. I have you set up into random groups now on Canvas with a random person as the leader. And then finally, you have 3 exams. These exams are proctored, and you take them on your own computer at home. So be sure that you have downloaded the plugins for Proctorio. If it ever prompts you to have a password or a key code, then you need to uninstall and reinstall the plugins because there's something wrong with the interface, okay? Each exam is worth 20 points, and there's 3, so you have 60 points total. And I tend to get that feedback, the test results back within that week. So you should know along the way how you're doing in the class at all times. make sure that you are submitting everything via Canvas by those due dates and times. There is no late. So your tickets to class, if they are late, there are no points. They're worth 2 points each, but so, it's a little easy thing to drop in to kind of chip away at towards your grade. So I've got all of my due dates in the actual calendar, but here's the breakdown of, you can see your tickets to class, the discussion board, the exams, the group paper, and then in the end, and I'll walk you through it, you will kind of clean up your case study paper once I give you feedback on it, and then submit it to Portfolium, which is a kind of a showcase spot where we can kind of showcase how fantastic our students are. Now, our nursing policy for grades, I've got them outlined here. There is no rounding up. So if you get a 91.9, it's not a 92. So just be aware that, we have a nice cushion here between 90 and 100 to get you that A. But you have to have at least a 75 or above to get credit for the course. Now, attendance. Seeing that it is an asynchronous web class, there are no mandatory days to attend, but there are assignments with specific due dates and times that I have already posted. So just be aware and make sure you're checking your calendar so that you don't miss any of those assignments or due dates. And the test I have open for a couple days so that my day shifts and my night shifts, like you guys all get a chance to be your best, most refreshed selves so that you can crush the test. I want you to do well. Looking at teamwork, right? The value of that. Now, here's the actual calendar. So this week, week 1, yesterday was a holiday. So I hope you got to have a nice little break on the weekend. Or if you were like me, you got to work the weekend. But this week, we're going to review the syllabus, this is kind of a little fast walkthrough. Post your introductions on discussion board. I've got a couple of you already, and so it's kind of exciting to see how very different each of you are and what you bring to this class, that part is the really interesting part. And then the review chapters. So starting in these first 2 weeks, it's going to be like, how do you actually set the scene for a nice, positive health assessment? How do you ensure safety, an open place without judgment where you can best provide the foundations for a good assessment for your patient? And then walking into the general survey, the pain and nutrition assessment, cultural and spiritual, these will all be next week, and you have your first ticket to class due on the 9th. So make sure that you're skimming through and you're familiar with the contents in these chapters. So for chapter 1 through 4, this is week 1. 5 through 8, and then chapter 19, week 2. So just like that, ticket to class 2, and then you have your first exam on week 4. So when you have these exams, the content for that week is not included in that exam, just so you know. So exam 1 will cover contents week 1 through week 3, and then it'll go from there. So exam 2 will cover the content in week 4 on. I do have study guides for the exams, as well as some sort of Kahoot quizzes and things like that to help you engage with the content more. It's challenging because of that asynchronous web. And next you have that discussion board 1. So this will be the first point where you're posting your discussion board. So just make sure that you're familiar with the rubric and the syllabus, and you hit all those points, and then you'll do your response a few days later. I have it set up so that right now when you post, you won't be able to see anyone else's post until your initial post. So just be aware. Once you post it, you'll be able to see everyone else, and then you can respond. So on it goes. Our ticket to class 3 is in week 6. Then your exam 2. Then discussion board 2 is week 8. Ticket to class 4, week 9. So you can see I pretty much structure it with an assignment or discussion board or submission each week to kind of keep you on track. And then your case study is due in week 9. And then exam 3 is that very last week. So the dates are a little different just because the 6th is the final day. So I have it uploaded on the shell correctly. If you find any issues between the syllabus and the course itself, let me know, because if I made an error, I want to fix it as fast as I can and kind of let you guys know, okay? And then the very end is the appendix, which has all of each rubric for each assignment. So my ticket to class, it varies, but for the most part, it's kind of true, false, and fill in the blank, and it goes along with your assigned reading. You can also use these to study for your exam. The tickets to class tend to be kind of little pieces of information throughout the chapters that I may revisit for the exams, just so you know. But you'll have access to the answers once the due date closes for the ticket to class. Your discussion board, same thing. Here's your breakdown of points, right? That you've got your group norms, that you have a scholarly research or a scholarly resource, that's not the textbook. You can totally use your textbook, but just make sure you have something additionally in that initial post. And these posts are not intended to be incredibly long, right? So just a paragraph or two, and you should be fine. 6 points for the discussion board, and then 2 points each for those ticket to class. Finally, the case study itself, and this is worth an entire exam. So this is a 20-point assignment, and the exams are worth 20 points each as well. So make sure when you're working with your group, which they should already be assigned with a group leader assigned, that you keep each other accountable, right? That you edit each other's work and put your best foot forward for this the case study itself. The case study isn't due until week 9 because you kind of need all that content in those beautiful brains to do a good job on the case study. So, and then here is basically all of our cues and competencies and the learning outcomes with AACN and how it's assessed through the class itself. And that's about it. So reach out if you have questions. I am available by email and by phone or text. Email is probably the most reliable. And if you find any errors or anything, let me know, because I know it's shocking. I am human. I really enjoy those discussion board postings. So we'll be picking up throughout this week on the introductions. And then we're off to a beautiful little fast summer semester, and hopefully you'll all just crush this class, and the lab itself will sort of reinforce the information that you learn in the lecture portion. Thank you so much for the time, and I'm glad you could have a little walkthrough of the syllabus.